Another day, another dollar. We done knocked it out, got it done. Another day complete. And anytime it's a completed day, man, it's a good feeling. A lot of people have been asking, how did I get started in doing what I'm doing in this logistics world? And ultimately, man, I just had a burning desire to bet on myself and that everything would work out, right? But as far as how did I go about initially doing this, I always will look at like me having such an obsession to bet on myself and that everything would work itself out is part of the reason, or a lot of the reason, that I feel like things happened the way that they did. I had already been doing like some research into final mile, last mile delivery. As I was like doing research on all of this, like I had already registered for a lot of these apps. When I decided to walk away from my job to pursue creating content, capturing moments for people, doing weddings, etc., I was like, yo, until I'm booked, I have to do things to generate cash flow. I mean, weddings are on Saturdays. I need something that I can generate income Monday through Friday or all the other given days. I started doing Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash. And so as I'm doing these things, I started realizing like, okay, you can really make some solid income. And it started giving me a little bit of hope. It started giving me just a little bit of hope that I needed to recognize that I can actually go out here and make some income. And at that time, like I had a couple of cars. My closest friend, he owns a car lot. So, I bought a couple of cars to stick them on the lot just to generate some cash from that. And as that was sitting there, I was like, all right, like, let me go out here and do Uber, DoorDash, and roadie. Well, as I started doing roadie, I started picking up, what I liked delivering through roadie, which is really anything, because what started fascinating me was this concept that I can pull out my phone, look at an app, and go and make money. They say money doesn't grow on trees, but there is an app for it. You just need to pull out your phone and look for it. And so as I started taking on these orders through these last mile delivery apps, I came across delivering the tires. And I found like it was a tire place that was right by my house. And so right by the gym. And I would see these orders come through on roadie, and I'm like, man, like they paying $40 for me to go 15 minutes away and come right back. So 30 minutes make $40. Like I was doing the math. I'm like, that ain't a bad situation, right? And the tires were like super easy to go and deliver, you know what I mean? So I would go through, and luckily like my friend who owns the car lot, he had during this same time came across two cargo vans. It was a little small cargo van and a bigger one. So I'm like, I'm already kind of apprehensive about driving these bigger vehicles and all of this stuff, box trucks. So I'm like, hey, let me borrow that Nissan for a couple of days while, and see if I can go through and make some income from it. And so I started using this van to go through and do some of the bigger roadie orders. I'm like, starting to get really, really confident in how much I could make from just doing roadie. And so I remember saying to my brother-in-law, one day we were talking, as I'm like figuring out my little niche with the tires, I'm like, yo, I can go pick these tires up, come right back to the house, chill out, wait till another order comes through, go pick them up, come right back to the house. It was very cool, right? And so I said, man, what would be pretty official is if I could land a contract doing these tires like regularly. So you have a consistent stream of income that you're not having to like, look at the app and hustle and bustle to get it. For a fact that I'm gonna get this amount every single day. So I was like, it'd be cool if I landed a contract. Literally the next day, I get a phone call. And at this point, I'm expecting, I'm in a place of like expecting good news from any phone number that reaches out to me, right? So I pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, this is Chris with Real Vision. He's like, sorry, man, I've been meaning to get in touch with you. We had a driver on that route, man, but this guy's like not dependable. And so I need a driver as of like yesterday. And I said, well, that's funny. I need a contract as of yesterday. And so he said, the only issue is, man, I'm looking at the van that you got, and he was like, that van might be a little too small. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I can fit. I've been hauling some tires now. Like, I can fit a good amount. And it's funny because, like, when I think about it, like, I really didn't know how to stack the tires. I didn't know how to do any of that. And so, but even if I did, like, that vehicle was way too small to handle the volume of tires that I may have on any given day. So I said, well, we just actually sold another cargo van. Let me reach out. Let me give you a call back and try to, figure out if I can get my hands on another truck. He said, okay. He's like, well, the contract's yours if you can, if you got the transportation. So I hang up with him, and as I'm hanging up with him, I was about to call my wife, and I said, hold up, and I immediately called him right back. It was like less than 30 seconds later. I called him right back, and I said, hey man, I'm not about to allow for me to potentially lose this contract because of right now not having a vehicle. I'm like, I'm going to go rent one tomorrow and we'll figure the rest out. He said, cool, send me a picture once you get the one for rent and, show up tomorrow this time. I'm like, what? So I call my wife and I'm like, yo, we need to find a box truck tomorrow for rent. I just landed a contract, or a cargo van or something to rent. I just landed a contract. And so that's how it really went, man. And I, at that time I did have I already had my LLC and all of that stuff formed, Real Vision Logistics, all of the, necessary structure that was required to really go after some of these contracts. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have to have those things, but it would be a good idea if you're jumping into this lane to go ahead and get that stuff established. Get the foundation established the right way. Build it on bricks. Don't put that thing on some, straw and expect for your business to flourish. And so, I did the due diligence before I went out and applied for contracts and really appeared to the public as a, functioning logistics company. And so the rest was history, man. The next day I showed up, and the funny thing was that the van that I had rented was way too small for the route that I was about to embark on. So half of the tires, I remember that day, couldn't fit. I had to go through and rent another vehicle, which at this point now I have to rent a box truck. So I rented a box truck, and that was how I kind of got into this lane of logistics. I rented a box truck. I started doing it in May as far as with the actual contract of 2023. By August, I was able to go out and buy my own box truck. It's been up since then, but that is the story in a gist on how I got into doing logistics. I guess I left a part out. So after I'm doing these last mile delivery through Roadie and all of this stuff, I went on Indeed, and as I'm on Indeed, I started searching for independent contracts, owner, operator, delivery drivers, anything that has something to do with delivering some cargo independently as an owner, operator, I was inquiring about it. And so I don't even, when the guy called me, I had no idea what he was talking about. And the interesting thing about it, he asked me, he said, are you familiar? This is before we really got into the nature of what the freight was and all of this. And this is why I say, a part of me looks at it and says, okay, I did all of these steps, but we cannot forget the fact that I really had, some people could call it a, delusion, but I really had a burning desire. It was, nobody could tell me that it wasn't gonna work, me betting on me. There was no chance that no matter what you said, I was gonna believe anything other than everything was gonna work itself out. And I think that when you get into that type of place, things start to happen. Some would look at them and call it luck, magic, whatever the case. But I mean, I understand what's going on, you know what I mean? But things just start to align and manifest and attract into your life beyond what you can even imagine. And so sometimes you don't really got to worry about the how. You just need to trust in the fact that it's going to work out, and only dwell in that place of the experience of what it would be like for said thing working out. And so, you know, magically, he calls me literally the day after I was having a conversation about how it would be cool to land the contract. So as I'm on the phone with him, he goes, "Are you familiar with ATD?" And I said, "I literally just came back from ATD." I was like, one of my favorite freight to deliver through Roadie is tires. He was like, "Well, that's what the contract would be." And I just, like, at that moment, I'm like, you can't make this up. Like, you cannot make up these things happening, right? This is what I'm saying on becoming insanely detailed about the things that you are desiring in your life. The more detailed that you can get, the more that you can start to experience what that is like. Trust me, it's coming. That's how I got started, you know, getting a couple of dedicated contracts. And so right now we're just trying to expand using the same strategies. Like, I didn't go out and buy the truck first. I mean, this is just me personally, and I'm not saying that my way is the way. I'm just talking about what worked for me, right? What worked for me was I got a rental. I used that rental from May until August, saved up enough to where I can then go and purchase my own truck. And after I purchased my own truck, well, actually right before I purchased my own truck, I ended up landing another contract, and I ended up getting 2 routes. So, you know, from July until now, July of 2023 until we're now in January 2024, I've been running a couple of contracts, 2 routes a day, you know, and really getting the opportunity to just experience, you know, we're a year removed from clocking in, man. And, you know, it's such a surreal experience to, you know, see everything manifest, see the dynamics of, you know, what betting on yourself is really like, and ultimately be an example to other people that, man, what's the worst case scenario? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? To me, the worst thing that could happen in a lot of these situations is like death, right? I quit my job, am I gonna die? No. So like, if you go into the very ultimate, you know, for me, that's my worst case scenario, is, you know, no longer being on this earth. If that is not a realm of possibility, then why not try something different, right? So anyway, just wanted to share the story real quickly about how I got into logistics. And yeah, man, we're about to get ready to get some rest. I actually am not about to get some rest. I'm about to hit the gym, like I mentioned before, if the show doesn't stop. Last week, we only got a chance to go to the gym once. So we're gonna make up for it today, which is cool, let my body rest a little bit. But yeah, man, keep grinding. Let's go, let's get it.